What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, talk about the gameplay deep dive that we got earlier today, and just kind of, well, from my perspective, talk about how good it looked. I'm getting one over. Now, I guess I was always going to, check out this game. It being on Game Pass, obviously, is an incredibly good deal for me, but, leading in, it sounded pretty good, and, the first-person versus third-person thing, there's the hang-up there in the beginning, but a few weeks ago, right, there was the previews basically of this game, the first previews, and you got kind of a wide variety of people talking about how well it looked and how much they liked it, and I think I kind of settled into, okay, this is just what it is, right? And also, it looks a little different than I thought it was going to look in terms of the stealth and a little bit of the rigidness, almost the combat reminds me of something along the lines of Kingdom Come, right, where it's more something you probably don't even want to do all that often, right? You don't want to get into a fist fight with 50 enemies, but so it looks a little clunky, or rough around the edges, but in a good way, and I guess a realistic way for Indy, right? He's not a MMA fighter, he's not super good at this, but it kind of captures that kind of chaotic feel of just a brawl, or just a fight. And what we basically got today was, I gotta be real, actually it was more, I would say, to what we heard last time, right? In fact, I think even similar things, or maybe the same segment of the game, but they kind of jump through where you're going to have that adventure, you're going to have the solving puzzles, and there's even things in the game where it can help you out when you look through the camera, and he'll kind of talk to himself of how to figure stuff out. The camera is a big part of things just in general, right? Taking pictures and exploring kind of these semi-open world hub areas, taking side quests, things like that, and going along through the main quest. A thing that really stands out, actually, the more that I hear it, is how good Troy Baker does as him. Now, I guess we don't know that for sure or fully until the full game comes out, but he talks quite a bit, and we saw 14 and a half minutes, and a good amount of that stuff was actually new stuff as well, so you hear him talk quite a bit, and I think he does actually really good. There's actually several people out there that I think can do a really good Harrison Ford impression, but he does really good, and he has that charisma that you expect to have from him. But I guess like I said earlier, I'm kind of just settling in on what this kind of game is, right? It's gonna be, you have that stealth kind of element to it where you can't necessarily rush things, right? You have to use distractions, and you got to use your whip, and you got to use your hands kind of strategically. You can find upgrades so you can take people out just with your bare hands. You got the opening that was more adventure feel, and I would actually say the only one thing I would talk about in terms of a negative, again with that first versus third person thing, I'm settling more into it. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue once I actually play it. However, that beginning, when he's kind of sliding and then he uses the whip, there's a really quick cut where it goes from first person to third person back to first, and it does it so quickly. And I know they talked about kind of, some of the climbing stuff, or some of when he's swinging with the whip, some of that stuff is going to go to more third person, right? Swap over. Just the way it was handled with a more cinematic kind of, a trap gone wrong type thing. The way the cuts were, it kind of felt a little jarring. So, I hope that they kind of get the right blend of first to third person, but I'm impressed. I honestly continue to get impressed with this game, and I guess also my expectations aren't even that high. I just want kind of this fun, what we've heard of as adventure action, not action adventure. I just want to be told a fun story, have the jokes, have the charm, have the action, have that discovery kind of feel. It's not actually that hard to nail an indie type thing. Tomb Raider's done it, Uncharted's done it. I guess many have failed at doing it as well, but I don't think it's the most difficult thing in the world. And like I said, I'm not even hoping for a game of the year type contender. I think it could be an incredibly good game, and I actually might catch people off guard. I don't know. I feel the press and the looks at this thing, I don't feel they're getting as much attention as it normally would. You could say maybe that's Xbox versus a PlayStation thing. Maybe there's a controversy or a conspiracy there. I'm not sure, but I continue to get more excited. And this gameplay deep dive, I think, did its job. It showed us. I think it solidified what this game was, and I might have actually said that with the preview. But again, I feel because a lot of the stuff we heard, even from the influencers, or when IGN writes up their stuff, right? Because they were only allowed to show the same thing. Everybody that did that preview you a few weeks ago, they had footage like from Bethesda. That's all they were allowed to show. This one feels and looks like what they were saying a couple weeks ago, where it's like, okay, this is kind of how the game acts. This is how the game's like broken up. Like, this is the feel of the game. Now we kind of see it a little bit more, in this gameplay deep dive. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.